Joining us now to review some of the headlines of today's newspapers from around the world is our Rice News analyst, Emmanuel Ifeni. Good morning, Elder Emmanuel.
Is elder a title?
Are you not an elder?
It's a status, not a title. Status in the house of God, not a title to be parading about.
Well, we want to turn it into a chieftaincy title.
Good morning, Ruben.
Good morning.
Good morning, Rufai. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Feni.
Victoria Tundu MK Wabiola. Good morning, my sister.
Mr. Feni, you remember that's one of the reasons why the Catholic Church say priests must not give birth, because so that do not pass on the title to another generation.
Now, let's start with these day newspapers. The lead story, straight from the morning show. Tinubu, Oshiomhole are extra constitutional players. Danger to democracy, says Obaseki. Extends olive branch to Israel Yamu. Dismisses suspected plan to return to APC. You failed to hold him on to a part of that statement, because when you asked about returning to APC, he used the word for now. For now. So for the politician, it's always an option. No permanent friend, no permanent enemy. Tomorrow, the necessity may just be there to switch camp. But let's see what other newspapers are reporting this morning. The Guardian newspaper. Rising food prices in North send scary signal. Tougher days ahead unless government tackles insecurity, says Shetima. Teriba blames COVID-19 for hunger crisis. Food inflation triggered by herdsmen's killing, says farmers leader. The Nation newspaper is reporting the potential strike in the horizon. Petrol price, electricity tariffs, labor set to begin strike. Federal government to meet with NLC TUC tomorrow in continuous dialogue. While the Daily Independent newspaper has the lead story also, NLC fixes September 28th for nationwide protest. TUC, civil servants, others promise to join. The Daily Times, similar story, labor set to compound Nigeria's woes with strike. The Punch newspaper, water resources bill, Afenifere Ohaneze, others tackle government as federal government says critics ill-informed. It's being opposed by those who have access to media. Minister, 8th Senate rejected proposed law. We will kill it again, vows Abaribe. Now, the photograph on the front page of the Punch newspaper, of course, the headline underneath the photograph, tribute as Army Commander Bako killed by Boko Haram is buried. Colonel Dahiru Bako, a grim reminder that the war against insurgency is still on, and gallant officers and soldiers are putting their lives on the line. So we must not forget, even in the midst of economic crunch, that soldiers are still there battling insurgency in the Northeast. Now, the Nigerian Tribune, no going back on water resources bill. Federal government says it will never pass. Southern Middle Belt leaders vow. The Daily Trust newspaper, federal government takes over revenue custody in NMPC, Customs, Federal Inland Revenue Service, NIMASA, others. Government getting less from agencies. Secretary to Government of the Federation, Finance Minister. Revenue directors set for the deployment to agencies. Temporary measures won't work, experts. Stop borrowing, ex-Emir Sanusi tells government. Whatever happened to the Treasury single account, which we were told has stopped all leakages? Now, if we just look at the foreign newspapers, yes, the Guardian of UK, follow new restrictions or risk a second lockdown. Johnson warns. Prime Minister unveils tougher rules and tells public to get ready for difficult winter. The Daily Mail reporting the same story in a more dramatic way. Boris gives UK boat barrels. Above that, Prime Minister's draconian orders to last 6 months. Home working U-turn, 10 p.m. pub curfews, new £200 fines, more war on the way, and of course, second lockdown threat. He even sends in army. Then the Washington Post, if we look at what's happening in the US, Republicans coalesced to vote on High Court pick. Battle could bruise justices' political image. By Saturday, President Trump will make that pick. And the Senate, the Republicans, the GOP in the Senate are ready, and there's a rare unity there to ensure that this pass through. But at the end of the day, we'll have a conservative majority in the Supreme Court. And there are issues that are up for changes: abortion, gun control, religious liberty.
Obamacare.
Well, but more importantly, at the end of that, the Supreme Court may just be so bruised that the apolitical image of that arm of government may just be a bit tainted, if I may just use that word.
Well, that's yet another institution that the Trump presidency is testing.
Yes. A lot to chew this morning, Ruben. Where are you kicking up from?
Well, I don't know where you want to start from, but the Obaseki story, which is a lead story in this day. I mean, we dwelt on that a lot yesterday, and there was general discussion of some of the fallouts, both locally and internationally. But I think something of interest that you have brought up is this decision to send revenue directors to federal government agencies, because many revenue-generating agencies are not remitting funds to the purse of the federal government. I think that that's disturbing, because you recall that one of the first things that President Buhari did when he came was to insist on the government maintaining one account, the Treasury single account, which had been put in place by the Jonathan administration. And the idea was to check leakage and mismanagement of funds. But, you know, years later, we have seen that that problem still exists. And it's a very serious problem within the governance process in Nigeria. Would revenue directors being posted to agencies of government be able to do it? I do not think so. Even if it is a measure, it can only be temporary. There must be an attempt to look at what is wrong. Why is it that these revenue-generating agencies are not remitting money as required? And one of the ways to do this, of course, is to first of all do an audit of many of these agencies. You'll be surprised. During the Jonathan administration, the president directed the Minister of Finance to take a look at this same problem. And it was discovered that many agencies of government were keeping accounts that were unknown to the federal government. That was what brought about the Treasury single account in the first place. And then in reporting their finances, they will claim that, oh, a certain amount had gone on overhead. And whatever was going on overhead was always very dubious. And it's shocking to see that that is still the case. What government needs to do is to check wastages, to check leakages. These revenue directors who will be posted to these agencies to use technology to monitor, are they not Nigerians? They will be compromised.
They will be sucked into the process again.
Yeah, so, you know, so that's a problem. And when we talk about low revenue for the Nigerian government, this may well be one of the areas to look at. Leakages and wastages.
Dr. Abati, I resent that. Are they not Nigerians? Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Feni.